the shooting range. In this episode, pages of history, long odds over the Atlantic, triathlon, rank 6 light tanks, and metal beasts, the Prime HE Flinger in War Thunder. Today's metal beast is a special guest. This iconic German self-propelled assault gun is a unique sight on its own, but it's also the main award for players who spent the 10th anniversary of War Thunder with us. Let's see what the long-awaited Sturmtiger brings to the game. The main caliber of this machine is a 380mm mortar, with elevation angles between 0 and 72 degrees. The auxiliary caliber is a coaxial machine gun. The engine is found in the rear while the transmission is in the front of the SPG. The total crew count is 5. The obvious unique feature of this machine is the caliber of the main gun, a new record for ground vehicles, 380 millimeters. Whew, that's no joke. Not every battleship can boast this caliber. The mortar also shoots high-explosive, self-propelled projectiles, each carrying no less than 135 kilograms of explosives. Of course, not a single tank in this class can survive a direct hit with such a round. Open-top vehicles? Well, those are simply blown away from the battlefield. This caliber bears a heavy price to pay, of course. And the first part of the pay is one of the worst reload rates in the game. Even an ace crew can only handle it in 40 seconds. That means you actually have enough time to go brew some tea between shots. In addition to the reload time, you'll have to learn your way around ballistics here. It'll take quite a lot of practice to start hitting even a static target from a couple hundred meters away. The enormous projectile moves quite slowly, and a vigilant opponent can easily dodge it or even shoot it down mid-air with a machine gun. Can you actually survive and win with all these flaws? Yes, if you don't rush the front lines. Sure, the Sturmtiger has excellent frontal armor and a decent level of mobility, with the Sturm part of the name implying storming. But any attempts at close-range fighting are bound to end after a single hit. What comes next is shot tracks, a damaged barrel, and a finisher to your side. This German vehicle is also highly unlikely to survive a shot to the upper part of the hull. Most of its combat compartment is occupied by ammo, and those fat babies can explode inside just as well as outside. Triggering them within the barrel is extra easy. Even a machine gun might handle it. Summing up, the best tactic for the Sturmtiger is attacking from an ambush. Stay behind your allies' backs, ideally in a place where you don't have to move around much. Wait patiently for a target to spring up in your sights, demolish it with a single shot, and wait some more. What, you think it's boring? Try it out. Each successful shot with a 380mm caliber is so much fun you don't really feel like hunting for entertainment. Well, that is how the anniversary Sturmtiger do. Do you need to be sleeping to have a nasty dream? Not necessarily. It would be enough to just find yourself as a crew member on a patrolling Sunderland. Still gray seas, still gray skies, monotonous, pervasive engine hum for hours on end. No sign of a cloud break, no sign of land. All you've got is a gyro compass, an altimeter, and an artificial horizon to go by. Just need to stay awake. Need to stay aware so that you don't miss those for whom Sunderland itself is the worst encounter possible. Gotta find the Kriegsmarine. The German sailors knew perfectly well that the 4-engined flying boat wasn't just looking for the splashes made by periscopes in the gray waters over the Bay of Biscay. It was actually sailing in the waves of another invisible sea, the electromagnetic one. Should someone send a radio message, the Sunderland would intercept it. Should a radio signal get reflected off a destroyer, it would be located. With the worst possible consequences for the source, of course. Naturally, every pilot in the German night fighters was dreaming of knocking this waking nightmare out of the skies. Entire squadrons would be made into search parties, scouring day and night, staring into the haze with infrared devices and onboard radar. Anything for a Southern. That day, fate seemed to favor the Germans. Colin Walker, the commander of the flying boat, received a contact report and noted in his journal, June 2nd, 1943, 6:55 p.m. 8 Junkers 88 fighters attacking from the right side 6 miles away. What were their chances to survive? Too slim to guess. All they could do was drop their bombs as quickly as possible and send the plane into a flat dive. The hope wasn't even to break away. It was to stall for time long enough to radio the location where they'd met the enemy. The Junkers formed a line and pushed after them. Catching up with the heavy flying boat was a matter of several minutes. The Sunderland pilot knew his job well, though. He exited the dive right above the water's surface and continued flying, almost touching the gray waves, thus making it impossible for the Germans to attack from below. Their options were limited to attacks from behind or above. The Junkers 88 wasn't an agile tactical fighter, though. Lining up for an attack took quite a lot of time for them, leaving some spare moments for the Brits to aim. On top of this, with visibility that low, it took extra effort to stay on target and tell friend from foe. Freezing their hands off and lacking an air brake, the Junkers attacked time and time again, but never landed a decisive strike. Instead, they lost 2 machines of their own in the first 4 minutes of the fight. Damaged by the rear and port turrets of the Sunderland, they simply couldn't handle a low-altitude flight anymore. The next Junkers approached from above and behind, did the shooting, and dashed past the flying boat, right into the aims of the nose gunner. A long volley at point-blank range met the attacker, sending it off to the fishes. The commander of the remaining Junkers ordered to grip the damned Brit in a vice, and failed again. Another attempt to attack the Sunderland ended with the 4th fighter catching fire, dipping its nose and disappearing into the waves with a huge splash. Having lost half of the group, the remaining German fighters scurried off the battlefield in a complete mess. Colin Walker went to check up on his machine and his crew. Multiple hull penetrations, the radio was fried, half of the 11 crew members were wounded, and one, a young flight engineer by the name of Ed Miles, was dead. The Sunderland cut its patrol short and turned north to the British Isles to make an emergency landing. The clock showed 8 p.m., and the skies were growing darker. The nightmare was still ongoing, accompanied by a monotonous engine hum and the air whooshing through the holds. Just like for the war in the Atlantic, the future held no answer as to when it was going to end. We've made a comparison of top light tanks with tracks before. Why don't we go a little lower in the rankings? There's way more picks on rank 6. Please welcome the American M551 Sheridan, the Soviet Object 685, the British VFM-5, the Italian VCC 8060, the French Mars 15, the Swedish IKV 91-105, as well as the M41D and the TAM Model 1. As always, we'll check the driving performance of our contestants in the first test. Let's line them up at the starting line. Go! The British vehicle dashes ahead right away, followed by the French one in a few seconds. The Bulldog and the Sheridan seem to be lagging behind. No position change seen in the desert or the snow. Third place is still contested by the TAM and the Object 685. The riverbed, however, helped the Soviet machine overtake even the French one. But would you look at what happens near the finish line? The VFM, the Mars, the Object, and the TAM are going so tight together. In the end, the French and the British vehicles finish at the same time. Right after them, we see the Soviet and the German participants, and after that, the rest of the teams complete the race. The second stage will show us how well the tanks can counteract enemy aircraft. We'll take 2 Huey helicopters hovering a few kilometers away. The first crew to report success is the Italian one. Thanks to their laser rangefinder and proximity fuse rounds, they had no issue at this stage whatsoever. The next one is the American vehicle. The Sheridan is the only tank today with guided missiles in stock, so helpful against helicopters. After that, we see the French team complete the trial. Their reload speed was fast enough to get the ranging shot done quickly and land a sub-caliber round just right. The rest of the crews needed a bit more time, but ultimately, all of them handled the mission. And now it's time for the final round. A firepower check. We'll take the Israeli Merkava Mark II for the target and place it with its front facing us 1 kilometer away. Almost all the crews load up finned subcaliber rounds and start picking at the MBT's armor. Having landed a few shots right, the German, Soviet, British, and Swedish teams managed to knock out the crew. A similar result is shown by the American tank that used its guided missiles. Here's the Italian crew completing the task thanks to its higher rate of fire. But the M41 and the Mars are having issues. The weak penetration rate and beyond armor effect of their rounds forced them to take extra care aiming for vulnerable areas, and that certainly didn't make the process quick and simple. Time to sum up. The bronze goes to the TAM for its excellent firepower and mobility. The silver goes to the Soviet Object 685. It has an outstanding autoloader and a rich choice of ammunition. And the winner today is the British VFM-5. It has the best acceleration dynamics and some mighty subcaliber rounds. Well, let's leave our crews to their radio-controlled airplanes while we answer some of your questions. The first question was sent by a player called That Guy Who Uses R3. Do magnetic mines work on land? And if they do planes activate them? Hi, R3 guy. Some magnetic mines do work on land, and they can even detonate from a tank driving by. Triggering them with an aircraft is, alas, a vain idea. Lil Red P asks, Hello, Gaijin, would you guys ever add the option for manual engine controls? Hi, Lil Red P. The game already has manual engine controls. You can use them via the multifunctional menu or assign a separate key in controls. Another question comes from Magic Man. Does the map temperature affect engine cooling or overheating like the desert or snow? Hey Magic Man, yes, War Thunder takes air temperature into account. The most obvious way to spot this is to use a plane with engines that overheat quickly. Lazy Gaming writes, SU7 BMK or the 9.7 MiG Premium? Which is better to grind with? Hello, Lazy Gaming. It's up to your preferred mode of playing, really. The MiG-21 is a bit better for air battles, while the Su-7 is more suitable for mixed ones. Although, we must admit that both of them are pretty versatile. And the last comment for today was written by Metagaming. We need custom loadouts for the A4 series. Hi there, Metagaming. This family of planes truly needed the custom loadout capability. That's why we've already added it. That's it for today. You've been watching The Shooting Range by Gaijin Entertainment, and the next episode will premiere the following Sunday at 4 p.m. GMT or noon Eastern Time. Subscribe and click the bell if you don't want to miss our next videos. Don't forget that you shouldn't expose your 38-centimeter wide hole to strangers. Leave a like, share your thoughts and comments, and see you next week.